So he says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at instory@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village. Facebook.com/VinandSori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool? Opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing. But,
and it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Hello!
Okay, I'm just going to send him an email.
Okay. Alright, guys. Here we go. You guys have seen the lineup.
Yeah. we have a really great lineup tonight.
We've got a legendary...
A Day to Remember, Linkin Park. Baby, you want some Red Bull or something?
Yeah. Get this thing down.
Yeah. A Day to Remember, Linkin Park, The Used, Bullet for My Valentine, and Ren. So, sounds like it's going to be very interesting. As soon as you see DJ Mark, can you let me know?
Yes, I will let you know. There he is right there! DJ Mark!
Hey, if you want me to add a picture to the stream, just send it in the email. Yeah, see, that's the little guy.
I remember this picture.
Picture, yep.
I remember this guy. What's going on, DJ Mark?
But it's been a little while, so... Oh, a little blurry one. All right, if you want a better one, send it to me and we'll get it up there.
Icon, DJ Mike. What's going on, everybody? Let everybody know I could be a DJ. 4-song minimum.
Yes.
No song maximum.
4-song minimum. If you're interested in getting a DJ stream, you can either do that on Patreon. You can really just jump on any of the tiers and start talking to me about it, and we'll work out a layaway system or whatever it is that you need. But if you're like, no, I just want to do it straight up, you can actually just go ahead and send it through vinandstorymerch@gmail.com. So the prices and everything are in the commercial that you just listened to. Was it in the commercial?
It was in the
prices
commercial.
Were in
yes,
there?
sir, Bob.
All right, so that's that. So DJ Mark has purchased a stream tonight. He's got 5 songs on the lineup. The first song is from a band.
He's got a bunch of heavy hitters in this.
Okay, first
bunch of heavy hitters. Good God.
First song, maybe you're coming down with something. Hopefully not. A Day to Remember is the name of the band, and the name of the song is called Miracle. And DJ
while
Mark...
we were doing all that talking...
You haven't downloaded
it. The video.
DJ Mark has not said anything about the song, so I don't know if I believe that there's nothing that he wants to say. So as soon as you have that downloaded, we can get that started. You guys, we've got some interesting stuff coming up. I'm sure Vinny's going to fill you in a little bit more, but it's going to be, you're going to want to be on Patreon, and even the $1 tier is going to be able to be in the know. So, so if you want to know what's going on, there's going to be some mysteries and whatnot. So if you want to be filled in, that's where you got to be.
Yeah. We should probably shoot that commercial today or tomorrow, because it's about to happen. I don't want people to miss out. That I'm going to get a bunch of emails. People are like, "Yo, how come you didn't tell us?" Yada yada yada. I'm going to say my bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to not tell you, but it won't be good enough for people. So we are going to make a commercial so that you can understand what we're doing. And unfortunately, guys, it's not something we can really release to the general public. So you got to make that a Patreon-only situation, if that makes any sense, dear listener. All right. Now that we've got that out of the way, I think we finally have the song down. Nope. I lied to you, false alarm. Can you please keep talking to the people?
Well, you were.
This is part of show business, man.
Yeah, but you were talking to them. You were giving your commercial, so I was letting you speak. Let the man speak. I didn't want to woman-splain you and then have people come after me.
Uh-oh. I don't think that works.
It might. It could.
I don't think that goes one way.
It could. It might go that way.
Well, talk to the people.
Maybe I am. I'm pulling up the live stream. Guys, it's an Ask Me Anything, a random one.
I don't know why.
So.
Oh. That was on my other computer.
So. Slipknot Sean says, I was in my gallery on my phone and I have all these screen recordings of us communicating during streams and got me missing you guys. Oh! Well, here we are.
Well, here we are. Here we are.
All right. Venezuela, what part of the country are you in? Hello from Las Vegas. We're from Maine. You probably don't know where that is. Picture New York and then go straight up like you're headed to Canada, but right before you get to Canada, you stop. That's Maine.
All right. Good. All right, guys, here you go. Song numero uno, A Day to Remember. What's the name of the title of the song again?
A Day to Remember. Miracle.
Miracle, A Day to Remember. DJ Mark. Let's do it right now.
Okay. Yeah, Mark, you know. Yep.
If you could only feel the way that I feel.
Okay.
Ready for the war to come my way.
always said, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper. My will is stronger."
Man. Yeah, I said your will is stronger. That's crazy.
I gotta get
I need a fucking miracle!
This sounds like some shit we would write, bro. You gotta get that scripture quoted there like, "Fuck all you
Formed against me shall prosper! My will is stronger!
I want to go play my guitar right now!
That's a good one.
Right now! Oh,
right.
I love this song.
Ooh, boy.
Where's my phone?
Oh, man. Yeah, we better write that one down.
That's gonna be on the playlist.
Yeah.
That'll get us to Georgia.
Oh, shit. I was
Get us
gonna.
to Georgia.
Oh, we need to have a question about the speakers. We should gift ourselves.
Oh, I think you're right.
I think I'm right.
I think you're right. We'll leave it
Anyway.
up to the patrons to figure that out. All right, talk to the people.
Okay, this song was ridiculous. Oh my gosh. And it was like right from the start. Right away I started this, immediately loved this song, and it did not dwindle throughout the whole thing. I mean, he was saying like you might think it's something spiritual, so I think he was trying to say like, I feel like he was saying like it's not anything spiritual. Like he's gonna do it right here, right now. He's not waiting for some hope in the future. He's gonna take care of it right now.
Yeah,
and then he
he's
says,
not waiting on a miracle.
right, he's not. Yeah, he's
means
not.
that.
And, yeah.
That's a famous
man.
passage. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. That's a passage. I think it's Isaiah. So, where it says, "No weapon formed against me will prosper." I grew up hearing that. What about you?
Oh,
Did you grow up hearing that?
absolutely. Absolutely. Why do you think I was the way I was?
Yeah, you were a
Are you
were such a
kidding
gangster
me?
back in the day. You would just be like, "I don't give a fuck about none of
I
y'all."
was like, wait, what's happening? But I want to be over there where the crazy stuff's happening.
Yeah, somebody took me aside. It was so funny. Like somebody took me aside one time, and they were like, "Hey, I've got a. This is like a, very credible, reasonable,
Isaiah 57. You were right.
reasonable person said to be, basically, we have some threat that we have intel that there's a Muslim terrorist cell in this area. So she's like, you just have to be careful. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, really? Oh.
Wait, I don't get it.
Well, anyway, I love this song. This is a great song. Saying too much. It's a great song.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Yeah, this is the kind of metal I grew up on, man. Like this is the, you know what I'm saying? Like
absolutely.
this is
great.
This is the shit. What was the name of that song again? I'm gonna try to pull up the lyrics.
Miracle. It was literally called Miracle.
Yeah, like that's it. Man. We're definitely gonna be listening to this song in the car.
Oh,
for sure.
100%. 100%.
For sure. I'm gonna
just-
change up the lyrics a little bit.
Me too. I already did when it was going. I was like,
My will is stronger.
yeah, that's why I said your will is
Yeah.
strong. Immediately when the song, I was like, that moment was too great to.
That's okay. He doesn't have to be completely orthodox.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, man, the song was so good though. Woo!
All right. So he's obviously talking to
Okay,
somebody.
what year was this? I mean, was this recent? Okay, 2022. Okay.
2022, yeah, pretty
All right.
pretty recent.
Yeah.
That's crazy that like a new metal type song can still bang in this. Like we need to get our fucking music out. Honestly, like I feel like we could compete with some of these. A little,
I think so.
especially like if you like really like find that thing and let loose, man.
I
That
think
shit.
so. I
River
think
is
so.
home. Okay, I can breathe now. All right, River's home safe. We're good. Okay. If you could only feel the way that I feel, ready for the war to come my way. Yeah, I struggled, so I know what it takes. The pressure only builds till it breaks. If you could only feel the way that I feel. So I think, they're a band, they're an established band, and, like, if you do well, it's like, yay! And then the record label wants you to put out another one, and it's got to be really, really just as good as the other one. And
Yeah.
so it creates a lot of pressure on these guys to
100%.
where it's like you started the art to express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You picked up the instrument to express the pain that you were feeling, but now the instrument itself is what's causing you the pain because now everybody's they're corrupting it. So it looks like there's some of that going on. He's ready for war to come his way. People trying to bring him down.
Yeah, I didn't think it had anything to do with like the record label. I just thought it was just like life. And how people like
True.
I think everybody feels like that. Everybody's like, "Oh shit, it's about to break down on me. Oh, something's about to happen."
Yeah.
What's wrong?
I need
You
something
need the
to
Red Bull?
drink. Yeah.
Okay. So I think everybody kind of feels like that, and like a lot of times people think that they're like singular in pain, but instead of realizing that everybody kind of feels like, you know, a war is either on the way or it already passed, you know what I mean, like, and you're healing from it. So like everybody's kind of in that cycle, but I kind of thought he was like talking about that, but being like, because you do kind of feel alone in your struggles because they are singular. Nobody has experienced life exactly as you have.
Right?
As you, yeah. So yeah, so it does make things a little bit different, but yeah, I didn't think it was anything in particular, but just and everybody kind of feels that, like there's like this pressure that's like building, and like certain situations happen, and you know, people will be like, well, you know what, I'm gonna let that one go. I'm gonna let that one go. And then eventually all of a sudden you get to a point where you're like, and I think that, you know, you can only be the nice guy for so long, and then people, the pressure builds, you know what I mean? Like if you're doing the nice guy thing for the wrong reasons, like it there will be a breaking point.
Yep.
That's good.
But it's interesting him talking about living under that kind of pressure. If you could only feel the way I feel, you know, that's something that's like, emotions are so complicated, and we use words to try to approximate how we actually feels. I mean, and the words kind of get you in the universe of the emotion, but they cannot. The very reason we have music is because we recognize that words hit a certain limit.
Yeah, right.
And it's
right.
not necessarily just expressing pain, but it's also expressing joy. When you say, like, I'm so happy to have my son, or I love my wife, like, it gives you a concept of what the feeling is, but there's no way to actually describe it. And so there's, you know, that's why I write music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
so like, it's interesting as a musician, like you have that kind of emotion and feeling about your music, but there's something in his life to where it's like he's been procrastinating. I'm sure you can take this as an FU song, but it could also just be him like smacking himself awake and saying, man, let's go, let's do this. Because he says,
yeah, that's what I thought.
He says, I'm betting on the right here, right now. To hell with all the someday somehow. I've waited long enough. So that was kind of the thing that got me thinking as far as decisions that we need to make, you know? It's like, I've waited long enough. If you're going to do it, do it. If you're not going to do it, then tell everybody you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
like
I
at some
think,
point, you got to pull the trigger. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I think we were late on it too.
Probably.
You know, so by at least a couple weeks.
Probably.
Yeah, he says down here in verse 2, if you could only see the way that I see, if you could find the faith to take the leap. And then he says, it only took one shot to prove I'm not made of glass. There's no pain you could cause that won't eventually pass. If only you could see the way. So it sounds to me like like sometimes you're so afraid of like what could happen, and then all of a sudden you're freaking put face to face with it, and you have to go through it because there's no way around it. And then when you get to the other side of it, you're like, yo, okay,
Yeah,
I made it through that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then sometimes that kind of sets you up to be like, maybe that other thing is not as bad. Like once you start accumulating these like really situations that you thought were going to be so horrible that you didn't think that you could survive or whatever, you do. But then, you know, I think that situation made him say, you know what, I'm not going to wait on whatever to change me. Like I feel like he was making changes within himself. That's kind of what I was getting in the song. He was making changes in himself by himself. Like he wasn't going to wait on a miracle or wait on anything else to change it. Like he wasn't afraid anymore.
That's why when you're younger, you know, you it's a good time, especially if you have parents or an active parent. It's a good time to like start struggling with stuff. You know, when you're now, I was telling Dorian this last night or this morning, whatever it was. I'm like, you gotta have crisis situations in your life that you got through, so that when you get old, because the older you get, the more is at stake. You know, when you're a kid and you don't listen to your parents, you break some eggs or something, you break the eggs. But when you get older and you don't listen to your
Stakes are
parents,
higher.
you could die in a car accident.
Yeah.
So the older you get, the higher the stakes get. And the people that do really, really good in life are people who are able to look back and say, I already went through some shit and I overcame it. Mm-hmm. Or it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Hey, I had this situation. Mm-hmm. I overcame it, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm in prime time. I'm a young adult now. This crisis is happening. I know I'm going to get through it because I've gotten through it before.
Sure.
And it also kind of goes into why I parent the way that I parent. Like, there's got to be some adversity, even if it's manufactured, that the kid is able to get through, so that when you're not around as the parent to motivate them or help them, they can call on that in themselves and in God and say, hey, you were with me during this whole thing. It's very traumatic and terrible, but I made it through. So now here I am. I'm striking out on my own, and I'm terrified about X, Y, Z, but you're going to help me make it through. No weapon formed against me will prosper, right? And so, like, in that line, no weapon formed against me will prosper, is interesting because it doesn't mean that the weapon won't harm you.
That's true.
What it means is that the intention of the weapon is to kill you.
Right.
And in that sense, you are protected, right?
Yeah.
So God is not telling us, like, yo, you'll never run in. I love the song. I love that he quoted that scripture because I'm like, okay, he's got some Bible in it. Because that's like a second degree phrase. Like John 3:16, everybody knows, but like no weapon formed. That's very specific, very Pentecostal.
Yeah.
You don't hear anybody else really in Jamaica. I mean, that's just... When I was playing baseball, my mom was like, yes, Vincent, go on. No weapon formed against you will prosper. I'm like, yeah, Mom, like, this baseball game is the equivalent of the Israelites getting taken into captivity. Shout out to my mom.
That's
very much more. But yeah, like, it's important to understand that, like, God never promised us, like, yo, it's gonna be easy. And I love the fact that he quoted the scripture and he used some bad words. It's like, yeah, I think God's okay with that. Like the things that people freak out about, God's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The kid's not perfect, but he knows I'm gonna protect him. I love that. And I love that security in kids. Like you look at Reza and the rest of them, like, they know they're in trouble. They do things every night. They know they're in trouble. And the way he looks at me, he's like, yeah, I did it. He's like,
that's exactly the face.
That's how he is. He's like, it was me. I'm like, you know you're going to get in trouble, right? He goes, yeah. But he has so much, like, he knows how loved he is. He doesn't care. He's like, I'm going to take this time out, whatever it is, and then everyone's going to love me again because I'm Reza. So, like, that, he just doesn't care. Like... whatever, he knows he's loved. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So damn, I just love this song, man. It was really, really inspiring. It really inspired you to kind of get up, not feel sorry for yourself, quit the procrastination, and just fucking get on with it. And like it's I love that it says I don't need a miracle, because like you could take that in a lot of ways. You could take that as a person being arrogant and saying they don't need God. But he didn't say I don't need God. He said I don't need a miracle. And then later in the song, he quotes, no weapon formed against me will prosper, which is God's promise to protect. So he's not saying I don't need God. He's saying I don't need a miracle. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is very simple. There was one time Jesus showed up to a guy and the guy was terrified. And Jesus told the guy, look, I need you to go out and go to jihad because the Midianites are fucking everybody up. So I need you to you take care of them. And the dude is like terrified. He's like scared to death.
Yeah.
And Jesus looks at the guy and says, go in the strength you have. Am I not sending you? In other words, you have enough strength. You don't need like the seat apart and all the rest of it. Like, you're going to be okay. Like, I've given you a certain amount of strength and I'm the one that's sending you out.
You have enough.
You have enough.
Yeah.
So whenever you're, transitional periods in your life where you're moving out of mom and dad, striking out on your own, maybe considering going to college, becoming a father for the first time, all these things are full of the unknown when you transition. And so you got to have a way underneath all of that anxiety. There's sort of like this this bedrock under the surface where you know that you're loved and that you're looked after, and so you just go for it, right? And you don't necessarily need a miracle. You can simply say, God's given. It looked like he's saying, "Hey, I've got this talent. I've got an iron will because I've been through things before. So now I know I'm going to get through this thing. I'm a musician. This is what I'm going to do, and nobody's going to stop me. And I'm not going to stop myself. I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm going forward." Like, unbelievable song.
When he said "don't need a miracle," like I thought he didn't say "I don't want a miracle." So I felt like that there was like even still some hope in that he would even want a miracle, but he said I don't need one, because I thought that was interesting in the sense of, because sometimes if people are waiting on a miracle, they won't move. Like, you know, I told you guys before about that lady that somebody from my college was going to visit, and she had cancer, and she wouldn't go see the doctors. And she was like, no, I'm waiting for a miracle. God's going to heal me. God's going to heal me. And they were like, well, maybe like God made it so that way you could go to that hospital. And she was like, no. And she kept waiting. Well, she ended up having to have her arm amputated. It was bad. It got really, really bad. And, but she kept waiting on that miracle when it wasn't coming like that. So you sometimes, like, if you wait on a miracle, it's basically you're not doing anything, and you're actually not saving you're not doing what you could do, you know? So when he said, I don't need a miracle, to me, it was like, he's not waiting on that anymore. He's going to move forward. If a miracle comes, great. If one doesn't come, he's still going in a forward trajectory. And,
yeah. And you know, there's that thing about, like, people, and I think this is probably mostly the fault of maybe religious people, that the only time that God acts in the world is miraculously. So they don't see God in the water cycle.
yeah.
They don't see God in a scab.
The healing process, yeah.
The healing process for a scab.
Yeah.
But like I said, like, God's you know, the theologians say his normal operations. You know, we don't talk about that. But from a Christian worldview, literally every atom, every molecule, every breath, all of that is superintended in the mind of God. As the scripture says, in him we live and move and have our being.
Yeah.
And so, because we think that God's operations in the world only count if they're, quote, supernatural, which supernatural is not a biblical term. It's not something I believe in. We could talk about that another time. They miss out on what the theologians called, like, you know, favorable providences. So, for example, it's a famous story. The guy's in the stuck in the ocean, and he goes, "God, give me a miracle!" And there's like a log that floats by, and somebody's on the log and it says, "Come on, I've been on this thing for hours. We're gonna live." And the guy goes, "No, it's okay. I'm waiting for the miracle." So then the guy's like, "God, give me a miracle." And then there's like this boat that comes around and says, "Hey, we've been picking stuff up. We just picked up your friend that's on the log. Come on the boat." And the guy goes, No, I'm waiting for a miracle." Well, obviously the guy drowns. And the guy shows up in heaven, and there's 3 people there. So he looks at Jesus, he goes, "Why did you fail me?" And Jesus said, "I don't know, bro. I sent this kid over here on a wood thing to you. I sent this guy on a barge. And you wouldn't listen. What do you want me to do?" It sounded to me like you wanted to come home, so I took you home. Like, God's miracles, the term miracle and all the rest of it, like, that's not the only way God operates in the world. He's there at every childbirth delivering a baby. He's there at every hospice situation, like, making it easier for the person to transition. Like, God is in everything. He's in the he's in the scab of you know, the platelets and all those things. Like, he's doing that in a Christian worldview. It's not like he, you know, that's deism, where he kind of set things in motion and then just kind of observes everything. So, yeah, I love the song.
Oh, me too.
Really,
me too. This
really
is
good song.
This is an 11 for me. Like, the sound was like just right there where I wanted it. Everything was perfect. It went from the hard, the heavy, and then it kind of went out smooth and got like kind of cool. Like,
yep.
Oh, it was just such a perfect. It was the perfect song.
And
then when he got to that part, you're right. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It was just ridiculous.
Done.
It was over. And then I saw, you know, my will is stronger. That was just a little bit ridiculous to me, so I just changed that. Your will is stronger. And I'm like, oh my God, it was just it was so crazy. And then after I changed that lyric, and then it was like stronger, stronger, stronger. And then he says, wait, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
It's just the best.
We can flip him the other way.
Maybe do it this way. Yeah. What's up, everybody?
I can help you if you need help. So anyway, it's a
10.5. Do something with this guy. I give this one a 10.5. What's up, Becky? Really love the
Hi,
song.
Becky.
Love the lyricism. Love the positive message. See, that's not going to work because this is where it's getting all of our stuff from. So,
Okay, I'll figure it out. All
right. All right, there you go, dear listener. We got another song on the way on the other side of the commercial. You know the routine. Vin out.
Story out.
Gone. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that off.
can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee,
Can't
a
guarantee
positive
you
review.
A positive review.
Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
So buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes,
Check
dear
out
listener.
Ghosty. He's back. He's hanging out on the mic. Hopefully that doesn't muffle the sound. If it does, let us know in the comments section.
Yeah, can you guys hear us okay?
Yeah, he's hanging on for dear life, but he's there. Maybe we'll do this for good measure. Beep. Okay.
Freaking thing.
Okay, so we are having a DJ Mark stream. Check out his little homie guy. I think it's down in this corner. I can't see right now. The next song on our DJ stream tonight is by a band you may know.
Yeah, I think you might have heard of them. I'm not sure.
That goes by the name of Linkin Park. The name of the song is Lying From You. Oh. And this was a last second change. We had another one that was on the lineup, but he switched it to this one. So maybe this is a sign for somebody. Who knows?
Yeah. Take it personally, whoever you are.
Take it very personally.
Keep talking to these people. Because
And
this
in the
downloader-
meantime, we're gonna do an Ask Me Anything because we're having some issues due to
fucking downloader's not
due to
working
some well, let's not bring that up. Delaney, what's up? All right, Mike Franco, hey, how's it going? Let's see. River, I think
What
you
happened to all the
agree.
things I had saved on this thing?
It's
right here?
you gotta change. It's one of those profile-y things. I don't know why it keeps doing this,
All right, don't worry about it.
but
I'll figure it
it's
out.
very confusing, and it's possible I'm doing it, but I don't know how I'm doing it.
My other one had everything like right there. Just keep talking.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Cam's Let's Plays says, I love Linkin Park. And Saber Wolves says that you have an addiction, Vin,
To what?
to Red Bull.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, no. Is Vin addicted to Red Bull? There was no question mark at the end, so. No.
I don't think so.
No. Addicted? No. When I think of addiction, I think you can't stop doing something. But I think, though, that people could they could lie to themselves in that sense and tell themselves, oh, I could quit this at any time when they really actually couldn't without a very, very big problem.
Are we ready?
Yeah, oh, you're down?
Yep, we are done.
Yeah,
All right, here we go.
okay.
Linkin Park, Lying from you.
Oh
Holy
no,
shit.
River.
Riv says, oh boy.
That's gonna hit me in the gut. LOL, this is a song that I listened to a lot after a particularly rough breakup.
Like, girl cheated on me and gaslit me into believing it was my fault. Yeah, that'll happen. That'll happen.
No,
All right, guys.
Tony, no Pepsi addiction. He does have one addiction, though.
All right, guys, here we go. Here's Soraya bringing shame to our family again. Linkin Park, let's go. That's Linkin Park?
When I pretend everything is what I want it to be, I look exactly like what you had always wanted to see. When I pretend I can forget about the criminal I am, stealing second after second just cause I know I can. But I can't pretend this is the way it'll stay. I'm just trying to bend the truth. I can't pretend I'm who you want me to be, so I'm lying my way from you. No turning back now. I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go. No turning back now. Let me take back my life. I'd rather be all alone. No turning back now. Anywhere on my own, cause I can say no turning back now. The very worst part of you is me. I remember what they taught to me. Remember condescending talk of who I ought to be. Remember listening to all of that and this again. So I pretended up a person who was fitting in. And now you think this person really is me. And I'm trying to bend the truth. The more I push, the more I'm pulling away. Cause I'm lying my way from you. No turning back now. I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go. No turning back now. Let me take back my life. I'd rather be all alone. No turning back now. Anywhere on my own, cause I can say no turning back now. The very worst part of you. The very worst part of you. Yes, no. This isn't what I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me like this. This isn't what I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me like this. This isn't what I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me like this. This isn't what I wanted to be. I never thought that what I said would have you running from me like this. No turning back now. I wanna be pushed aside, so let me go. No turning back now. Let me take back my life. I'd rather be all alone. No turning back now. Anywhere on my own, cause I can say no turning back now. The very worst part of you. The very worst part of you is me.
That was Linkin Park. What was Lying from You? Uh-oh.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
I think I have glass in my foot. But anyway.
Like literally? Glass
Literally,
in your foot?
yeah. There was so much glass in the basement, and I believe it's lodged in my toe. Anyway. But Linkin Park has a very particular sound.
They do.
And
They do.
I think that when you hear a certain band at a certain time period in your life, like when you hear that sound, it just has that nostalgia hook to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're automatically going to give it a certain type of rating because it hit the nostalgia point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, what did you think? What did you think the song was about?
I think it's about him being a rock star and having access to too many women, and so not knowing how to break off the relationship he's in. So that looks like to me. And he basically wants her to leave him, or he's going to leave her because he keeps putting her through all the bullshit. Wow, is what it looks like to me.
That's crazy. What?
Korn has a song called Trash, which is kind of like that, where it's like, why are you still with me and I've been cheating on you all this time?
Oh my gosh, I didn't.
Yeah, so it looks to me like he wants the girl to get away from him because he's actually being the cheater.
Really?
That's what it looks like to me. So he
See,
starts off saying, when I
but-
pretend
yeah,
everything is fine, when I pretend everything is what I want it to be, I look exactly like what you had always wanted to see. When I can pretend, I can forget about the criminal I am, stealing second after second because I know that I can.
Oh boy.
That's a double entendre because stealing second is very hard to do in baseball.
Yeah.
Because you're right in line. So the catcher's here, he throws it past the pitcher, and it's just a straight shot. He doesn't have to do it angular. So stealing second is it's a hard thing to do in baseball. It's risky. But he's saying and I'm assuming he's talking because you talk about right. First
Stealing
base, second base.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, people talk about like
Stealing
stages
second.
of physicality in a relationship.
Yeah,
right?
and also like when you steal a kiss, but he's stealing second.
Right.
Like most people steal a kiss, he steals second, and then second after second. Yeah, okay. I can't pretend this is the way I'm just trying to bend the truth. I can't pretend I am who you want me to be, so I'm lying my way from. Oh, I'm lying away from you. Mm-hmm.
So he's like, look, I'm a millionaire. I'm in my 20s and I'm famous. Like this, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
He's got all these, and some of it is like just doing stuff because you can. Like
yeah.
Like I remember, like very clearly, like after I had gone through this little training module, whatever, I was sitting in a thing with my boys, and I'm like, yo. We could rob this whole place blind. People wouldn't even know. They're like, I know, bro.
I know, bro.
Everybody was thinking the same thing.
Oh my god!
When you have the ability, you don't even like having a set. You just want to do it just to do it.
Just because, like, I know. See, sometimes I think about that. Like, sometimes I spend some time thinking about jail systems, and that's one of the things that kind of bothers me is because I'm like, I bet you anything, there's got to be some people that are just, rotting away in jail just because they wanted some thrill. You know what I mean? Like, were they really bad, or they just,
Yeah, like who wouldn't want
some misplaced thrill,
Somebody said, listen, we're going to rob this bank, but we've got this technology to where if anything goes bad, I just press this button and we go back into this moment in time where nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, who wouldn't take that? Like,
I'd be a little bit worried that the button wouldn't work.
Right. Well, if you could be convinced that the button worked.
Oh, I'd do it immediately. I would have done it, a million times already.
Who wouldn't take that deal?
Everybody,
anyway.
why are we so into those movies where you got to figure out all the codes to get down to the money and get it escaped out of the place, People love that stuff. Okay, I think you're probably right about that.
We have actually reacted to the Doors. We've done like 7 or 8 Doors songs. Adore Night, the Doors.
Yeah,
that guy who's like a poet. The guy's like legitimately a poet.
Okay, yeah. What about him?
I would be interested in a Doors night. Sometimes we get nights where we get to listen to the same artist, and it's like a classic artist, and I love it because I'm like, oh, that's why this guy has like the McCartney, the Beatles guy. Okay, so he's saying there's no turning back. I'm lying my way from you. I remember what they taught me. Remember condescending talk of who I ought to be. Remember listening to all that and this again, so I pretend up a person who was fitting in. And now you think this person is really me. So he was raised with a certain idea of right and wrong, like the moral compass. He was raised with that. And now he's broken them all. And she is a remnant. She reminds him of that old system, so he really doesn't want to be around her anymore. For her, and a lot of times dudes will be like, oh, this is for your own good, when in reality it's just you're too selfish to change.
Yeah. Oh yes, we know. Yeah.
Like I'd say that was like my line. That was my line all the time. I'd say, it's if I was your brother, I wouldn't want you to be with me. And then and that's how I would do it. It was always this like, oh, this is for you, when really it wasn't for them. I was just.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
There was a very pretty girl in very tight jeans.
Oh no.
And her jeans were tighter than her jeans, so I mean that really that was the decision making. Like it was stupid, but anyway, what can you do?
Wow.
But at the same time, you don't look so bad in tight jeans.
So, okay. So, yeah,
What?
I think you're right. I think that's what I think you're right. See, I thought that this was about somebody who was pretending to be somebody else for other people's sake. Mm-hmm. When I pretend everything is what I want it to be, I look exactly like what you always had. So I thought it was like, you know, they want this person to be happy in the, you know, like we've seen people do this, like they'll make a child or whatever, like dress a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way, even though that kid is not that way, because that's what they want to see. And so if that person acquiesces, then you could see them saying, when I pretend everything is what I want. So they have to act like, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. Of course I would rather not go to Six Flags. I'd rather pick shells on the beach. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're in that situation, like you're put in, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I thought it was like somebody in that situation having to pretend that they liked something for the sake of, and then when I pretend,
he does.
I can, but then
he has to pretend that he likes the boring life that he had with this girl.
Oh yeah, I get that.
And their church before he went off and got famous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So he had to pit him, but it's like you can't, like, when you get access to all that money and that capital before your prefrontal cortex can even develop, you're like 23, 24 when they're writing this shit.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. This is a solid 9 for me.
It's a solid 9. Like, and I determined that I was not going to read any sort of suicidal ideation or anything into these lyrics, just because.
Oh.
That wasn't the only thing that he was singing about.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Please.
You know, this one is like, I want to take back my life. It's like, you're in your 20s, bro. Who took your life from you? But it's like, when you have to conform to ideologies or ways of living that you have outgrown, it becomes claustrophobic. And a lot of times people will just blow the shit up. Instead of just like talking it through and saying, I'm claustrophobic in this situation, which is kind of hard to do, especially if you're talking to another person who's part of the reason you feel claustrophobic.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep.
But what people will do is that they'll not do that, or they'll wait till the person gets them angry, so that they can then justify breaking up with them, and then they don't have to feel bad about hurting their feelings. Like,
right.
You know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyway, 9.2.
Ooh, 9.2. All right, you guys. We'll be right back with the band The Used.
Whoa.
What?
Riv's mom made homemade Chinese food. So what can you do?
Yummy.
Riv gives it a 10. We are going to give it a commercial break, and on the other side, you shall see us again, dear listener, with another ridiculous band, Vin out.
Sorry, Al.
Gone. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, and a child shall lead them to buy our merch. All right. Vinny will be right back. In the meantime, it's an Ask Me Anything. So, if you got any questions, now's the time. Yes, Saber Wolves, buy our merch. Don't forget, you guys, there's going to be like some secret announcements, secret whatever is going on Patreon. So everything has to be really undercover. So check that out if you're interested. It's gonna start pretty soon. You can just get in there in the dollar tier, and that will be fine. Are there more streams this week, Kirby? There is. Holy shit. Yes, there are. Wait, no, hold on. Is that wrong? Okay, no. There are not any scheduled this week. That does not mean that there won't be one, because we do have other things to do. But I'm not sure if there's going to be there is no actual stream scheduled this week, because...
this week?
Yeah, we don't have any more scheduled this week.
Why? Is there an operational reason?
There is. All right, here we are. But that doesn't mean we won't be streaming.
Who's asking? Who's asking?
I don't remember. Okay. All right, you guys. DJ Mark is our DJ tonight, and he has picked the band The Used. The name of the song is People Are Vomit. All right, you guys, let's check it out.
That's very close to this must have came out after Slipknot's Iowa, right?
That's what I was wondering.
Because
People
Slipknot came up with people equal shit.
Right.
So
Right.
this should be very, very interesting. You can keep the Ask
It looks
Me
like
Anything
that's
going.
it looks like People Are Vomit is the name of the album and also the title track. Because I'm seeing the album cover and
that makes a lot of
it's
sense.
called that. So
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, we'll be checking that out in a second here. In the meantime, Ask Me Anything. M. Fett says he can't wait for the High Ren reaction. It's going to be a great choice.
Who?
What?
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Can't mess that.
Sorry, remember these when these were actually called fire streams? Yeah, firesides. Firesides.
We used to call them firesides, and we didn't review music in firesides.
Nope. We just would hang out.
We just hung out and talked. So you got to be a real OG to remember the firesides.
Yeah, for real.
I missed the firesides. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sure that
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Some version of that may come back for real by a fire.
I agree. Actually, that could happen. Yeah, we got some major changes coming, dear listener.
Yeah.
Very,
Remember,
very major
get on
changes.
Patreon if you want to be in the know, or get the email of someone connected to you.
I don't
on
think
Patreon.
that content. I don't think we're ever going to release that content.
No.
So yeah. Oh my God! Keep talking to the
Okay.
people. Nobody has any questions for you. I'm surprised.
I missed them too, but I never commented on them. Yeah, Ian, that's crazy. You were just hanging out, never said anything. Wow.
Who was just hanging out?
Ian Kirby. He'd come to the firesides, but he wouldn't comment.
Really? He was there that long ago?
That's what he said.
Damn.
When we first started the channel, because the channel like blew up at the beginning because YouTube wasn't throttling us. Anyway, it was crazy because people would come in and they'd be like, I've been with your channel for 3 years.
We've only been live for like
we'd
a
only been
year.
in there for a couple months or whatever. Yeah. You'd be like, you a lying ass.
Lying ass. You did no
Yep.
such thing.
It was always so funny whenever people do that because
Hey!
I don't know what love bites are.
Amy in the house. What's good?
Amy. Oh, yeah, Amy. I mean,
M. Fett's been here since 2000 subs.
Amy, you
Holy
can get a video chat to find out what's going on.
Oh, Amy, I want to be in the know, please. She's already in the know. She'll probably be in some of the videos, for God's sake. All right,
Probably.
here we go. Song
Oh no, I
number
think that's. I would
3.
never watch those Saw movies.
People Are Vomit by The Used, I believe, is the name of the organization. Let's check it out. People Are Vomit.
I don't wanna live in this American wasteland.
Uh-oh.
United we fall
tribal. Oh, if they would have had a good breakdown right there.
Yeah.
Is this what you wanted? Is this what you need? Whoa, this world's disgusting. People are vomit. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you need?
Woo! I gotta bring that guitar with me. Have to. Have to.
I thought it was weird that you weren't, to be honest with you.
Have to. Round with that work.
I was like, I
Strapped
don't know.
up with that Nina.
I don't know. Okay. All right. This.
I didn't really think about it until after high school that the Pledge of Allegiance is kind of weird.
Yeah, same thing. Okay, and no joke, they also have a version of that in the Christian churches, where you pledge allegiance to the Christian flag.
Well, that
And
makes sense to me
It was
because you worship Jesus. But like,
okay. We would do both.
how can you pledge allegiance
We would
to?
do both in Sunday school or in school. We'd pledge allegiance to the American flag and pledge allegiance to the Christian flag.
It makes sense
It was
to pledge
confusing.
allegiance to Christ. It makes perfect sense for me to pledge allegiance
On a
to
flag?
Christ. Well, the flag is an icon of whatever.
Yeah.
What doesn't make sense to me is pledging allegiance to America. Like, what does that mean? What does it mean that you pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America? The flag is the symbology of the entire country. But the country is run by people who are operating in such a way as to not pass legislation that benefits the regular people. On top of that, how can you pledge allegiance to a country that has invaded pretty much every continent on the planet and has killed people with impunity? How can you pledge that kind of fealty to that kind of... And this is why I said, like, Nazism... You know, I was introduced to Nazism, and I count that as me losing my innocence as a child. But when I look at all the things that the Nazis were doing, it was really interesting because the year that my mom told me, we were doing the Desert Storm stuff, and Whitney Houston had just finished the Pledge of Allegiance. And Whitney Houston's national anthem. Whitney Houston's national anthem is like historic. It's like a top 3 moment of all time. She just crushed it. She came out in red, white, and blue like tracksuit, and at the time it was like we were completely unified about this thing. There was no like left anti-war. It was just yakety yak, bomb Iraq. It was just like all this crazy shit, and it's like, how do you pledge allegiance to that? You know, and now we've got a situation where like Bush got up and he was condemning Putin for invading Iraq. And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, Ukraine." Because he knows we did worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
For less. Yep. We did worse for less.
Yep.
So like for Americans, like that's been one of my major issues. Like for Americans, the audacity of Americans to judge any country for invading another country. For violating the Geneva Convention.
Yeah, I know.
We were torturing people over there in Abu Ghraib. It's so hypocritical. So, like, how can you pledge allegiance to that? It's not saying I don't love my country. Like, I love my country. But I cannot pledge allegiance to this country.
Yeah.
When there has never been a moment in American history where we were not using slave labor. Like, to this moment. Like, all these devices, everything that we have. Like, so... I love this country, but I can't pledge allegiance to this country. Because part of loving your country in a democracy is to not align yourself with the government. It's to go the opposite way. I pledge love to my fellow Americans, like I owe you love as an American, and I'm going to love you as an American more than I love people in the UK. And it doesn't mean I don't love people in UK, but if you're an American, you're my people. That's it. Period. That's not the same thing as saying I'm completely in alliance with my government.
Right.
You know, I mean, I mean, it's insane. I've got a government there's thousands of people in prison with their lives ruined because of a plant.
I know, that's just
So
crazy.
so you can't pledge allegiance to a country in my view.
Yeah.
In my view, you can't do that. You gotta have something to pledge allegiance to.
I guess this was the pledge. I couldn't remember what it was. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag and to the Savior for whose kingdom it stands. One Savior, crucified, risen, and coming again, with life and liberty to all who believe. That's not bad. That's
that's great.
That's all right.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And the other thing too is like we're Americans. Like the very concept of America is that we're a country of rebels. We rebelled against the government.
I know.
And killed a bunch of cops.
I know. I wish that we would stop with the hypocrisy, because on that topic, everybody's very hypocritical as to when they're going to apply that and when we're going to be proud of it and when we're going to say it's a crying shame and when we're going to say it's thuggery. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we need to get all on the same page.
Yeah. Like, can you pledge allegiance to the idea of America? Yeah. That's what the idea, America is an idea, and the idea is it doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like, race, religion, creed, class, sexual orientation. You come in here and you try to contribute, you're going to be successful. You give respect will be given back to you, and you have the opportunity to bring yourself up from poverty to middle class to a 1%er. That's the idea.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm completely aligned with that idea, for sure.
Right.
So yeah, you can do that. I'm just talking about personally why I could or could not pledge allegiance to the country. But yeah, definitely. There are other people who are like, no, I'm going to pledge allegiance to America because that is the ideal of what we should be. And so to start off our day with the ideal of what we should be can't hurt. And I understand that logic, and that makes a lot of sense. We didn't do that in Jamaica. We had year-round school in Jamaica, so I was like 3 or 4 years old, so my memory's very shoddy, but I do not remember giving the Pledge of Allegiance to the Jamaican flag. Like, the first couple times it happened when I came to America, I sat down. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Everybody was standing up. They had their hand on their hearts and shit. I'm just looking at the lady like, what's going on here? So my mom explained to me like, I was like,
we had to do some, put our hand down. Yeah, like this.
Your right hand. But like my mom explained it to me. My stepdad explained it to me. I was like, oh, okay. I'm with it because we're Americans now. We're going in with America. All right, cool. So, like, I did it. But obviously you get older and you get a little bit disillusioned with your country and seeing what your country is doing. And
yeah,
that'll fuck anybody up, man. Like, and then it's like, okay, people are vomit. People equal shit. It's like, you don't really believe that, though. You don't really believe that because if you did, then you wouldn't have written this song. Okay, he's writing this song to like express some sort of frustration or whatnot.
Right.
The future's fucked before it got started. Is this what you wanted? This world's disgusting. People are vomit. Crowds of people fall into their needs. The future is fucked. I mean, it's not a very. He literally says it. I don't want to live in this American wasteland.
United we fall and divided where we stand.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and there's never been a more divided time in the country at all. And it's fascinating because people can't even agree on what's causing division. So, for example, I had a guy tell me that Obama was the most divisive country in the president ever. I'm like, really? He was more divisive than Bush that got us into a crazy war?
They said he was the most divisive?
Yeah. Because if you're black and you say anything about unequal treatment or anything like that, automatically, them folks, that's divisive. It's a manipulative way for you never to express your grievances because you don't want to be a divisive person. So you're not going to be one of those, which is
right.
what I, whatever. So, but aside from that, like, it just looks like I was looking at something a couple days ago and somebody basically said to this person, like, choose a side. And what was happening was the person was saying, well, I agree with this part, but I don't agree completely with this part. I think he has a point here. And then everybody jumped on that person and says, no, choose a side. Basically, the guy's a right winger. We don't like him, so that's it.
Wow.
I think it was like Tucker Carlson or something. It was like, Well, Tucker Carlson is really good on Ukraine. He's been very... Nope. That's Tucker Carlson. It's the same thing like with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's like, I don't know. I like Bernie. I think I'm going to vote for Bernie. And so people are like, holy shit, this is a giant endorsement. And then AOC forces Bernie to retract the... Like, the divisiveness is crazy. Like, unless you believe every single... jot and it's cultish. It's cultish.
Yeah,
at this
and
point.
what you're saying is the only part that the only way that you can be a part of this is if you lie, because nobody is going to believe like everybody else 100%.
Correct.
That's ridiculous.
Correct.
There's so many topics that divide the two sides. You cannot say that you're going to be 100% on one side or 100% on the other side. Ridiculous.
Yeah, like humanity is just too complicated for there to be a simple answer.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like for example, the concept of racism. Like that's a very, very difficult thing to go, because it's like, what does it mean? What is the line between I don't want to offend people versus I have to think about every little thing that I say? There's a lot of moving parts even to that idea. We can't even agree on basic things. So you came out and said Black Lives Matter, like all lives matter. It's like, okay, so on 9/11 we'll say all buildings matter. Like, but my point is like the division is so stark now because they've got us in this tribalism, and honestly, COVID accelerated a lot of it, because what happened with COVID was a kid who was in school had to sit next to a kid he didn't like or didn't agree with. And you kind of you're always exposed to alternate opinions.
Right. Yeah.
When you go on the internet,
that's true.
You're not looking for groups of people who disagree with you.
Yeah.
When you go to the internet, you find groups of people who agree with you. And no matter how crazy your idea is, you could have a really fucking insane ideology. If you have 500 people in a room agreeing with you, it leads you to the idea that you actually have something going on.
Yep.
It's like, no, you're in a room of 500 sociopaths. I cannot tell you. Twitch, oh my, like the shit that I hear these people talk about on Twitch is mind-boggling. Like what they're talking about. I'm not going to mention this on this forum, but it's absolutely insane. There's certain communities that are just fucking crazy and sick and need to be kept in the closet, under a sewer. I don't care what you want to call them, but like this shit is incredible.
Oh my gosh.
So my point is, if once you start hanging out on the internet, your understanding of reality is immediately skewed. You don't have an understanding of the actual scale.
Right.
Like this happened during the first Trump election. Is like social media was saying all this stuff, right? And then nobody was thinking, yeah, but I don't see any Hillary bumper stickers anywhere. Mm-hmm. Do you remember seeing any Hillary bumper stickers? I'm with her. And then the election happened and people were like, I don't understand this. All my friends on Twitter hated Trump, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Twitter's like 2% of the fucking country. Yeah. But because you're in these Discords and these chats and everybody agrees with you, you really truly believe that you have an idea that's not crazy when it's absolutely crazy.
The other thing too is when, you know, like you said, when kids are in school, like you may not believe the same things that the other people believe that are around you, but people's personalities give you a chance. So somebody that has a different ideology than you may be, you know, you may enjoy their personality, and then you start spending time and they open your eyes to seeing another side of it because there's some friendship involved. Right. Where when it's online, it's like nobody's friends with anybody and everybody can be as raw and as harsh and as mean as, you know, and I don't know, like some of the platform, like some of the things that I haven't been on for that long, but like sometimes I can't go on for like a very long time because when I'm on there and I just like see how mean people are, I'm like, geez, like,
yeah, it's not
politicizing pain, and people put a personal post and then people just come in there and say all kinds of craziness. I don't know, like very, very unloving ways of talking to people.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, right. So we had COVID. We're about, I don't know, 8 months to a year. We're stuck inside, and people got mega radicalized. And I'm talking about everybody got mega. What? You know, according to Canada, you know the most radicalized group of people after COVID? This is according to Canada now. Trans women. Trans women, according to Canada, were the most violently radicalized group of people during COVID. This is Canada who declared economic warfare on the truckers for protesting. Like,
Right,
they're
right.
extremely authoritarian left. And even they said, well, yeah, those. So, and then what have you seen? Like, everybody came out of the catacombs. And we got a couple mass shooters now. Like, my point is, it's not to talk about that community, but it does illustrate what I'm saying. Because that community is 1 or 2% of the population. But when you went inside all the groups that you're around, you're normal. Like our channel has is skewed for autism and trans. Like the people that are attracted to our channel are we're overrepresented. We're overrepresented with autism and transes. But so my point is, this happens all the time. Same thing. A guy comes from Butte, Montana. He gets online. He's around a bunch of rednecks who are racist that don't know it. And they all kind of conglomerate together. And they convince each other. There's a bunch of white people get together and convince each other there's no such thing as racism. And they go outside and they talk to a person in the real world. And the brother's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, well, the 50 hillbillies that I talk to, they all agree with me that racism isn't real. So it's not real. Like, that's where we are.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where we are. And then
I
on
think-
the other side, everything is racist. Everything everybody does is racist. We want to, put the dude in New York on the cross. There's a whole thing where the guy was acting reckless on the train, and then a couple guys went to restrain him. Guy got him in a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
And
Familiar.
the guy died, and now they're trying to. Oh, this is a
He's
public
like a vet
lynching
or something.
He's a Marine. This is a
Marine or
public
something.
lynching. There's a black dude that was restraining the guy too. There were like 2 or 3 people on there. Now I've been on the train in New York City.
Yeah.
So all these people that are commenting on this shit have never even been in New York City. Never even ridden the subway. Don't understand what the fuck is going on. All they know is this one little clip. I didn't watch the clip. I'm not gonna watch black people die on camera. I'm not watching it. But what I am doing is I'm reading the accounts and I'm reading the other things, and I'm seeing like he wasn't the only person. There's an actual clip. There's a black guy holding the dude's hand. People don't understand how people are in the subway and how dangerous it is. And you are, most of the time you're underground going 60 to 70 miles an hour in a tin cube, and somebody's going crazy. Like, it's not like you can just get up and leave.
Right. Exactly.
While the train is moving, you can go between cars, but 1, that's illegal, and 2, you could die. So like, there are situations where I'm like, I've been in that situation on the train. I've been in that situation.
Right, so you understand.
So I understand what's going on, but then you've got people like AOC and the rest of them who will take that, say, this was a lynching, this is terrible, blah, 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 blah. And everybody who is influenced by AOC, immediately your mind turns off and you, well, AOC said that this was racially motivated and this is a lynching and all the rest of it. You don't even fucking know this guy. They put the guy's name out there, which you kind of have to at some point. But like, both sides are like, one side, he's a hero, let's raise $2 million for him. The other side is like, this guy's a grand wizard of the KKK. It's like, I don't know enough information about this guy to make a determination either way. Like, how do you know this guy's his entire biography now? You saw a 2-second clip and an AOC tweet. Now you know this dude's entire biography. He's a racist. He's a grand wizard of the KKK, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, the guy's in the Marine Corps. Who knows? I'm sure he fought side by side with black people and put his life on the line with black people. Like, the shit is not as simple as people are trying to make it. And that's why, like, I'm not covering it on Middle America. I'm not tweeting about it, because both sides, there's never any, what is a complexity of the human experience? It's always one thing or the other. You know, one people that see racism in everything, you had another people that say, I literally had a guy tell me, he said, racism ended in America after Obama. Like, that's their mindset. So, like, it's same. Look at Black Lives Matter. So the concept is great. We support it. But what did the girls do? They went and enriched themselves off of it. And then after they enriched themselves off of it, they went on a fucking podcast and said that they cashed in on white guilt. Okay. And they were never held accountable by the black community. They were never slaughtered or crucified by the black community.
So they're just like living it up with their money?
Of course, they're in an exclusive neighborhood with a bunch of white folks, gated community, all types, security, all types of shit. And they got on the podcast and they were like, yo, we white guilt, blah, blah, blah. And the left basically let it go, and black people basically let it go. This is what happens when you're on the internet. But in real life, those two broads capitalized. They built an entire empire on black suffering.
Crazy.
And there's no accountability for it. So if I'm a white person looking at this, I'm like, man, fuck these people, bro. Like, you got
that opportunity and you did that.
This is what you guys do, and then on top of it, you guys aren't even gonna hold her accountable. Man, fuck you guys. You can't. I understand. I understand. So, like, shit is really, really complicated. The only solution, really, I'm convinced, this is brilliant how you did this, is to fucking go outside and fucking talk to somebody who disagrees with you. That's important. You know, that's one of the things I love. Middle America gets toxic at time to time, but there are people that are like, no, Vin, you're wrong here, here, and here. And, like, we've had debates, we've gone back and forth or whatever, but I love that shit because it's really not an echo chamber. People really get to say what they feel, and, you know, they go after me just like anybody else gets gone after. Like, I'm not even a mod on that channel. There's a reason I'm not a mod. Right? It's like, that way I can't block or do whatever to somebody because I don't like them. So, like, literally, it's out of my control. Like, I have no power over who gets deleted and who doesn't. Because the guy that does it, he's more of a leftist. He's definitely a leftist. He's pro whatever. But I do think he's fair. So he and a couple of them run all that. But yeah, I don't get to decide that because I know my default position is I'm like, man, fuck that guy. And if you're gonna have a debate page, that you can't have that. So I'm not the moderator.
Right.
Like there's practical things you can do.
Yep.
To not make it a tribal crazy environment, but I don't know, man.
You have to do something.
I really don't see a big way out of this. I just don't know. I don't know. It's tough. Okay, what do you give the song?
7.6.
I gave 7 just a 3 one time. Holy shit. 8.8.
All right, you guys, we'll be right back with more music. Bullet for My Valentine is next.
The moral of the story is get to know people. Get to know people.
Yeah.
Because the more you get to know actual human beings, even the ones that you disagree with, the more you're going to see that they're amazing and beautiful in their own way. We will see you on the other side of the break, dear listener. We shall talk again. I'm Ben.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/sorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them to buy our merch. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. I have been telling you guys about a... Oh, you're back. I was about to tell them that...
Announced that there was going to be someone else besides me.
You had quit the channel.
And there was going to be a new woman in my place.
Yes.
A blonde.
Yes, there's a blonde woman.
Remember we did that? Do you remember we did that in one of the shows?
Yeah, I remember
that. We had everybody all tripped up for a second.
Yeah.
I wish I knew which show that was. I'd go back and watch it. Okay. Bullet for My Valentine. What?
Amy says, they are against everything and everyone rainbowy.
All right. Who are we talking
Bullet
about?
for...
Who are we talking about exactly? The Christians? Oh. Moving right along. Bullet for My Valentine is up next.
All right,
the name of the song
if you
is
don't
The
behave
Last.
yourself, Budding Anarchist is asking if Ben Webb is real. Yes, he is.
Saber Wolf.
A legend. He's a legend. All right, here we go. Bullet for My Valentine, The Last Fight. It is not the last song.
Nope. It's
We're
the
talking
last
about
fight,
the
though.
last fight, dear listener.
Boom, boom, boom.
Ready?
Let's go.
Let's go. Bullet for My Valentine, dear listener.
Yep, the name of that song was The Last Fight.
Looks like he's loving somebody in the throes of some sort of a drug addiction.
Yep, that's exactly what I got from it. And he's wondering if he should keep it up or not. And then he keeps deciding to fight for the person, but...
It really started off pretty honestly. I don't want to stand beside you anymore.
I don't want to try and feel the pain you're going through. Till the death you'll see this through.
See, that's the thing is like... Especially when you're dealing with somebody with addiction. It's... Look, they usually have had a hard life. They usually have something that they can point to where it's like, yo, you don't know what I've been going through, blah, 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 blah. And I think that to some degree there's some validity to that. So you try to relate to them as much as you can. But nobody ever has the exact same life experience. For example, my two brothers and I, we grew up, all of us had radically different experiences. Even though we all went through the exact same circumstances. Mm-hmm. So you will always be able to say, nobody knows how it feels like to be me and be right to a degree. Because nobody is you going through it. There are them going through it.
Yep.
But what that does is it gives them a sort of... One of the things that has to get thought through that doesn't get talked about a lot is... the logic of the mind of an addict, where everything in their life is centered around getting the next hit, achieving the next score. Yep. So lying, prostitute, all those things are a means to an end in order. Yep. And so the chemical, the drug itself almost takes on this personality and sentience of its own that then directs the person to, and then starts coding people like, that guy is a mark, that guy's not going to help you, that guy's your enemy because he wants to get you away from me. Yeah. So hang out with these two. This guy's going to get you money. This guy. And so the drug, again, it's kind of like this manifested person that now is directing this person to do all these things. And
that's wild.
There is a point where they literally are completely possessed by, and look, there's a lot of people think I'm talking metaphorically where like it becomes another person, but I'm not particularly sure that it's metaphorical. Biblically speaking, there is a deep connection between drugs and spirituality, especially hallucinogenic drugs and things like that in spirituality. So I'm not certain that when I say the thing takes on a sentience or an ontology of its own and then starts directing you, I'm not sure that that's not right at some deeper, maybe quantum level. But the song is extremely brutally honest because on the one hand, if you're a caretaker of those people, like you love those people. I remember one time I had a family member that was in the middle of some shit.
Oh my God.
And I just went, I was like, ah! Like I went insane because like I had been patient in my view, but this individual has children. So to me, it's like, look, you know, you went through X, Y, and Z, but what the fuck does that have to do with your kids? Like, your kids should never have to pay the price because you know, and they always end up paying the price anyway. There's nothing you can do about it, but. Yeah, it's a tough song, but I'm glad he said it the way he said it because it was brutally honest. I don't want to stand beside you. I don't want to try to feel the pain you're going through. Till the death, you'll see this through. That's the other thing, too, is like, that's hurtful for the families and things like that people in the middle of this don't realize. It's like, yo, you are choosing that chemical over us, man. Mm-hmm. And that shit hurts really bad. You'll see this thing through all the way to death. That's how committed you are to this chemical. But the rest of us, like...
It's crazy because it almost seems like that there was a choice at the beginning and then it almost seems like they don't choose it anymore, but that it chooses them. And then the next choice that gets made is either they choose to get out of it, and that's when the choice actually comes back is when they're choosing their way out of it, or the drug ends up just taking them. But
yeah, it's a crazy.
You see what I mean? Like it didn't seem like a lot of them were choosing it anymore. It seemed like the drug was just.
No, I agree. I do think there's a point of no return where
But that's why I said
thing-
they have to choose to get out of it. Like, they have to choose to do the hard thing. They have to choose to go through withdrawals. They have to choose to go get themselves the help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that was one thing that I saw is like, you can't beg somebody, tell somebody the truth to the, like, those things, like, it didn't matter. And I couldn't believe, like, family members losing, children losing, it didn't matter. Like, people would lose everything for this drug. And it was so crazy because I think that what happens is the more that they do it and the more that they lost stuff, the more than they had reason to never quit, because it was like, I never want to face the fact that I lost this, and the list just keeps growing.
Everybody abandoned me, blah, blah,
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's
Yeah, that term abandoned, like, I've heard that term so many times from those people, but I never hear them say that they abandoned their family to the drug. I've never heard them say that.
Nope. Yeah, that's
like,
true. I never did either.
Because believe me, that's how your family's feeling, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
So it's difficult because the person is going through a really, really difficult time. None of us knows what it's like to be in the middle of the throes of that kind of an addiction. But I'm sure it's terrible and it's a hard thing to kick. And if it was easy to kick, a lot of people would. But yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing to think through because on the one hand, you don't want to be judgmental. You want to be compassionate. On the other hand, this person is destroying everything and everyone around them.
Yeah. Yep.
I've done some pretty exotic jobs in my life that have been a little bit risky. That is something I will never ever do again.
Man.
I will never work with people with hard drugs again. Not because I have any like hate in my heart to them. It's the opposite.
It's very painful.
It's too much. You got to be a certain
Really
kind of
painful.
person
Yeah.
to have that as your job, because it's terrifying. And the other side of that is you get people that do good and make it out of these programs, and then 2 years down the line they get a hankering for a hit, and they take that hit at the same level that they were on when they were in the throes of addiction, and their body completely shuts down. They die. And it happens so often. We just got out of it's still ongoing. Like, every single week, somebody in this community here in Maine is getting an RIP on Facebook.
It's every week.
Every single week.
Every
Young
week.
people,
It's
people younger than us. People,
a
it's
lot
like,
of them are younger than us. It's
people
just
it's just like
absolutely heartbreaking.
it's such a hard
and the thing is, like,
ministry or public service, whatever you want
you
to
get
call
like
it.
traumatized by it, because anybody that I find out now that they have used before, or whatever, like, I'm always paranoid after that.
I have
Like
a wall
that
immediately.
That one friend that you showed me her picture and you're like, look at, because she's got all her babies around her. Like, every time I see her picture, I celebrate her with those babies, but then this fear wants to come in to be like, yo, is she going to stay with it?
I'm going to wake up one day and I'm going to see an RIP.
She better not. Yeah, those babies, they
Jay.
need her. But then, oh my God, I don't know. And her situation is so crazy because they met in the program, both of them. So they both have a past in it. So shit could get really bad fast. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, please no. Like, you just hope the best.
And it's
for
crazy
them.
too because
They made it out.
We're the deer generation. Generation X, or the beginning of the millennial thing. But there wasn't a lot of fentanyl or heroin when we were coming up. It was like weed was ubiquitous, but I thought cocaine was a hard drug. When I was coming up, I thought cocaine was like a really hard drug. I've never tried cocaine, but apparently it's like taking 100 Red Bulls or something for an hour. Like, you're just like really.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? But
is it addictive?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I don't know. It fucks up your brain. I don't know what it does, but this fentanyl shit, like, I don't.
Deadly.
We should. It should be something completely different. We shouldn't even have that classified as a drug. Like,
no.
It's.
No, it should be absolutely classified some other way.
To some degree, rat poison is a drug, technically speaking, but we have a category called rat poison. Like, all drugs are poison,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
exactly.
blah. That's not true. Like, all drugs are not poison.
And not to, certainly not to that degree.
There are some drugs that we use to counteract poison. Like Narcan, for example. So, like, we just have to have a more direct message. Because here's the thing, even though the DARE thing is bullshit, drug abuse resistance education, and the just say no thing, it really affected me as a kid. And so
it did
when
for me
I
too.
got put in situations and people offered me weed, I said no. I was like,
It wasn't even a question.
I am prepared for this. You're one of those people I
Please.
saw in the commercial.
I want a future.
Yeah, you're done. You inhaled a leaf, you're over with. Like that's
I didn't even want to catch any
But
of
it
the...
worked. It worked. It was bullshit, but it worked.
Well,
We need
it
to
worked
have
for
one.
some, and then other ones, they took it...
It was this is your brain on drugs, any question, like
Yep.
you can put out. I wish there was another kind of just say no campaign relative to heroin and fentanyl like we had coming up in the 80s and 90s, because like I said,
Yeah.
sure, a lot of it was bullshit, but it kept me away from a lot of that shit. So
Yeah, because if they don't know that that dangerous stuff is getting mixed in with other things, like...
yeah. To me, both coke and MDMA were recreational for clubbing and sex. Close your eyes, sorry. Unfortunately, the drugs won the war on drugs. That's a
Wow.
good line. That is a good line. See, the Rangers are low-key smart. They act dumb, but they're low-key smart. Yeah, that's true. I will say, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very, very liberal about the border because of the Bible, but something has to be done relative to how fentanyl is getting into this country.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I'll take,
I mean,
like, and this is something a family member told me. He's, a lot of these cartel guys are using these kids as mules back and forth. So your heartstrings are being, these poor kids.
yeah.
When in reality, Juan he's got 2 or 3 agents like looking out for him because they bought off some of the
Jeez.
border patrol. Yeah, that shit is crazy. Drugs are just fucking horrible. Anyway, what did you give it?
This one was a 9.2. 9.2.
It's a 9.3. Deep song. Much love to everybody. No judgment to anybody. If you end up in the throes of some addiction or whatever, nothing I say is meant to judge you. What I will say though is don't give yourself the death penalty by pitying yourself to death. Mm-hmm. You had a hard life and bad things
Yep.
happen to you. But guess what? Bad things happen to everybody. And the problem now is you are now the bad thing that other people are going to have to recover from.
Right. That guy said, he's like, don't let the pain of your past give you an excuse to be a loser. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay.
But a lot of times people get kind of narcissistic when they're in the throes of these addictions, and they're like, everybody's telling me to stop, but they don't know what I'm going through, blah, blah, blah. But they don't realize that they are the going through of the other people. You're putting all these people through hell. So why should your trauma now result in everybody else being traumatized? And that's a little bit of a hard thing to say to a person in the throes of addiction, but not many people are going to tell you that.
Right.
So there's no judgment, but you have to realize that you are judging your family members. You're judging them worthy of all that pain and suffering, and you're judging them as less valuable than the chemical that you're addicted to. So nobody should judge you, but you are making judgments about your family and your friends and what's important to you as well. You have to understand that. You're not a victim of judgment. You are also actively judging your family members when you put them through that kind of hell. And again, not many people are going to say it that way, but I've experienced it on the other side, and it is absolutely fucking hell. And there's some people in my family where I'm just, I'm not dealing with it. I'm not dealing with it. I love you to death, but nope. I got way too much shit going on right now to deal with that bullshit. So I love them, but you are who you are. What'd you give it?
9.2.
All right. There you
All right,
are.
you guys, we'll be right back. We have a song called Hi Ren by the band Ren. We'll be right back.
Well, the person doing the drugs is not thinking rationally, but he's responsible for losing his rationality by engaging in that chemical
That's
in the
what I was
first
gonna
place.
say.
So yeah, when they're high or whatever, and when they're in the throes of addiction, sure, but they're responsible for getting themselves addicted. So there's that. All right, we got one more. That's where you learn you can love them, but you love them from a distance. Yep. I'm a big believer in loving people from a distance. Commercial break, we'll be right back. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sorry says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsorry@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that off.
can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee, a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSorry. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sorry and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Yeah.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
All right. We have a rapper by the name of Ren, and the name of the song is called Hi Ren. And you downloading it right now?
Yeah.
No W. There you go. You got it. Our DJ Mark says, for the last song, it's the official video for this one because I think it really adds to the song. And Ren is an independent artist who enjoys reactions to his music. Well,
He does.
hi Ren. We're about to review Hi Ren.
Okay. Hi, Ren.
All right.
Don't block us, bro.
Yeah.
Don't block us, bro.
Let this reaction through.
Let the reaction through.
All right, you guys.
What's the
we're
name
gonna
of the
check
song
this
now?
The name of the song is Hi Ren.
Oh, wait. So the guy's name isn't Hi Ren?
No,
The
his
song's
name is
Hi
Ren, and then he's saying Hi Ren, almost like he's saying hello to himself.
Okay.
Ready?
By the way, Ren spent 4 years almost paralyzed in a mental institution in UK after being misdiagnosed. He was bitten by a tick and no one noticed it. Holy
Are you
shit.
kidding me?
Yeah, because that gives you Lyme disease. You know, tick, that's what...
No, I know.
Yeah, so he was institutionalized for 4 years. Holy shit. That beat my
God.
record. I thought I had the record. I was in that bitch for 6 months, but it wasn't...
That was a misdiagnosis.
Wasn't
The
a
man had a
misdiagnosis.
tick. He needed them to remove. What?
All right, here we go. Hi, Ren. Bye, Ren. Switch this thing around.
been a little while. Did you miss me? You thought you buried me, didn't you? Risky. Cause I always come back. Deep down you know that. Deep down you know I'm always in periphery. Ran on your pleased to see me. It's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me. Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm ill. And I've been making some progress lately, and I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man. I think we need to just step back and chill. Ren, you sound more insane than I do. You think that those doctors are really there to guide you? Been through this a million times. Your civilian mind is so perfect at always being lied to. Okay, take another pill, boy. Drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program, rejoice. All your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy. Nah, mate. This time is different, man, trust me. I feel like things might be falling in place. And my music's been kinda doing bits too. Like I actually might do something great. And when I'm gone, maybe I'll be remembered for doing something special with myself. That's why I don't think that we should talk, man. Cause when you're with me, it never seems to help. You think that you can amputate me? I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one. Split in two, that makes one, so you see. You gotta kill you if you wanna kill me. I'm not leftover dinner, I'm not scraps on the side. Oh, your music is thriving, delusional guy. Where's your top 10 hit? Where's your interview with Oprah? Where are your Grammys, Ren? Nowhere. Yeah, but my music's not commercial like that. I never chase numbers, statistics or stats. I never write hooks for the radio, they never even play me, so why would I concern myself with that? But my music is really connecting, and the people who find it respect it. And for me that's enough, cause this life's been tough, so it gives me a purpose I can rest in. Man, you sound so pretentious. Ren, your music is so self-centered. No one wants to hear another song about how much you hate yourself. Trust me. You should be so lucky, having me inside you to guide you, remind you to manage expectations, provide you perspective. That thing you neglected, I get it. You wanna be a big deal, next Jimi Hendrix, forget it. Man, it's not like that. Man, it's just like that. I'm inside you, you twat. No, it's not, man, you're wrong. When I write, I belong. Let me break the fourth wall by acknowledging this song. Ren sits down, has a stroke of genius. He wants to write a song that was not done previous. A battle with his subconscious, Eminem did it. Played on guitar, Plan B did it. Man, you're not original, you criminal rip-off artist. The pinnacle of your success is stealing other people's material. Ren, mate, we've heard it all before. She sells seashells on the seashore. Fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need to hear this. Cause I'm fine by myself, I'm a genius. And I will be great, and I will make waves, and I'll shake up the whole world beneath us. That's right, speak your truth, your fucking God complex leaks out of you. It's refreshing to actually hear you say it instead of downplay it.
Music is all about the creative process, and if people can find something to relate to within that, then that's just a bonus.
Fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you, Ren. Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren. I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to doubt my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots and so I choose who survives. I'll tie you up in knots when I lock you inside. Newsflash, I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason, beheading all kings. I am sin, with no rhyme or reason. Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies. Mephistopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender. When standing in front of my solar eclipse, my name is stitched to your lips. So you see, I won't bow to the will of a mortal, feeble and normal. You wanna kill me? I'm eternal immortal. I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos, that causes division. I live inside death, the beginning of end. I am you, you are me, I am you, Ren. Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself, and I've spent half my life ill. But just as sure as the tide starts turning, just as sure as the night has dawned, just as sure as the rainfall soon runs dry when you stand in an eye of a storm. I was made to be tested and twisted. I was made to be broken and beat. I was made by his hand, it's all part of his plan that I stand on my own 2 feet. And you know me, my will is eternal. And you know me, you've met me before. Face to face with a beast, I will rise from the east and I'll settle on the ocean floor. And I go by many names also. Some people know me as hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? Cause I stand here beside you today. I have stood in the flames that cremated my brain, and I didn't once flinch or shake. So coward the man I've become, when I sing from the top of my lungs, that I won't retire, I'll stand in your fire, inspire that me to be strong. And when I am gone I will rise, in the music that I left behind. Ferocious, persistent, immortal like you, we're a coin to different sides. When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences, with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare, but there were victims and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying from the dark to the light. And the more intensely that the light shone, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax, and I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget, we must not forget, that we are human beings. And I must not forget, and that dance got easier. The more I struggled, so I got older, and I learned to relax, and I learned to soften, and that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget,
What about now, losers? We've returned! Blind, then, no sound. Okay. Well, you guys should have been reading my lips. Yes, we finished High Ren. And, he talked about, like, sounding like Eminem, which is funny because I'm like, yo, that's... Because Eminem has this... Eminem is, like, his regular self, and then Slim Shady is his, like, dark alter ego. And he's the one doing all this bad stuff. So he's got a song with Dr. Dre where it's basically his good self and his alter ego going back and forth. These voices, I forgot the name of the song.
But is it theatrical like this one, or is it rap?
Well, it's like this.
It's very similar.
Well, what do you mean by theatrical?
Well, like in this one, it sounds like the way that he sings
augments
it, like,
his voice and stuff like that.
He changes it, and like the way that he plays the instruments.
They're still saying no sound? They're lying. There's sound. They just talking shit. It's right there. Guilty Conscience. Yeah, that was the name of the song. Guilty Conscience. Yeah, and it was dramatic and all that. And then he was using Dr. Dre as his, like, good conscience. Like, don't listen to Slim, he's bad. And then Slim goes, you know what, Dre, I don't like your attitude. So anyway, Eminem kind of came, had the sort of Jekyll and Hyde concept. But I think there's like 20 years between when that song came out and this song. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And Eminem did not invent the Jekyll and Hyde concept, obviously, but he did do it in a really masterful, dramatic way. So, like,
I don't have to hear that whole
definitely, I'm like, yeah, like but he's doing something completely different. And it's one of the things. It's one of the things I learned about music is that you don't necessarily have to be completely original. And I'm not even sure it's possible, unless you're Tony Iommi or somebody like that. But can you take what's being done and put your own spin on it and do it better? Like, so, for example, Michael Jordan didn't invent the fadeaway, but he has the most beautiful fadeaway I've ever seen, right? So it's like somebody invented the idea of the fadeaway, but if I put him next to Jordan, forget it.
Right, yeah.
And so then I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. The reason originality was so important to me is because I came up in the nu metal era. And in the nu metal era, it's like literally you had 500 bands playing like the same 3 riffs. Like literally that's what it was like. So
then it's really important to find the original.
Right. You were right. It made me go, gosh, I want to do something original and different. That's why like when I play guitar, I can't even play nu metal that well on it. You know what I'm saying? Like
true.
So like I was very big on original. I want to be original. And then like the more you learn guitar, the more you learn, you dabble with a little bit of theory and things like that, the more you start to see that, wait a second, everybody's doing kind of similar things here. This band is doing something with a time signature, but it's the way that you organize it and it's a spirit that you put behind it. The real thing is, like, if you can get that emotion to really come out, and you saw that in the video where you're just going back and forth. It was just incredible. Incredible lyricism. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. For me, like, I've never seen the Eminem one, so I can't comment on that. I will say, though, that, like, the way that he did it, it definitely pulled on, like, my emotions, like my heartstrings, I guess, the way that he did it. Like, you could feel for him. I felt like he was being really real, and he let us into a glimpse of kind of like, I guess everybody has like a hidden self, that side of themselves that they're gonna take, and they hide from everybody. But this one did seem like it was obviously more than just like your shadow self, because especially when it started saying who they were, like what they called themselves.
Yeah.
And I will say, I don't know if you thought this was kind of crazy too, but so at the end, he does a spoken word, and like immediately when I heard this, I was like, uh-oh. Because he said, when I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis.
Yeah, but did he actually have psychosis? Because people saying he was misdiagnosed. But I know that Lyme disease can fuck with you mentally as well. Like Lyme disease.
It does?
Yeah, Lyme disease does have some psychological effects too. Let me try to look at it. But a broad range of psychiatric reactions have been associated with Lyme disease, including paranoia, dementia, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, panic attacks, major depression, anorexia nervosa, and obsessive compulsive disorder. That's Lyme disease that you can get from ticks.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
So-
that's crazy. I didn't know ticks could do that.
Yeah, so I'm not sure like
damage.
if he was
My gosh.
misdiagnosed or if they made a mistake relative to what would solve the problem. You see what I'm saying? But he's saying that he had autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis, which of course Lyme disease messes with your immune system as well. So yeah, like Lyme disease is what he had. Yeah. So so you can get psychosis from Lyme disease. It's just they misdiagnosed how to solve the problem or the origin of the problem. Because like, did he grow up with psychosis? Was it genetic? Blah 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 blah. I'm sure on the list, it's depending on where the guy lives too. Like up here, I'm sure that's probably going to be part of the profile. But I don't know, in England, maybe they're not thinking about that.
That's so crazy that it was something that simple, and he went on for so long unnecessarily.
Well, I've known a couple people with Lyme disease. It's not something like you completely get over or like cured, but you manage it, and there's medications. Donna was a big Lyme disease person.
So was that Amy girl we used to know.
It really messed her up though. Like there are times when she was sick, she couldn't come out.
Remember that other girl? She went to that church that you went to. It starts with U. Her name was Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
anyway.
what she is, but
Yeah, she had issues with it also. It was pretty serious. It put her out of commission. She wouldn't even be able to come out for stuff.
he's still in treatment in Canada right now.
Jeez,
Yeah, like you get misdiagnosed with drugs, it'll fuck you up. I remember when I was there, you know, I wasn't at his place, but I was in a mental institution, and I was in really, really bad shape until I forgot what it was, but like one of those drugs, man, like I didn't know I didn't know my name, I didn't know where what address I lived at, nothing. And I was like, yo, Petzl, this is now. She took me off of them immediately. Mm-hmm. But it was the luck of the draw. I just happened to get a really, really, really good doctor. But yeah, they were about to hit me up with all. And I'm not against medication at all in any way, shape, or form. It's just you have to really, really know what's going on with the patient. You know, for me, it was a lot of it. For me, it was genetic, X part genetic, X part environmental. And so that's one of the reasons why they set me up with a social worker who had me basically up for my first apartment, because they're like, you can't go back into that environment.
I'm pretty sure I found pictures of you at that point too.
Did you?
That apartment, I think so. You look super, super young. It's crazy.
Was I really skinny?
Yeah.
I hadn't eaten.
Yes.
I didn't.
You were.
No, I might put some of those pictures up on there for you guys to see.
Those could be on Insta.
Yeah, I'll put them on. They'll be on Instagram. You guys will be able to see them. But
I found quite a few good ones.
I really so part of me is like hanging around the periphery as to how I want to interpret the lyrics of this song, and I don't want to. Well, I might as well. Okay. So here's the idea, right? Most of us believe that you have a body and then you have a mind, and then like, you know, the immaterial side of you, your personality and blah, blah, blah. We call that like, oh, you're a person, right? Like you've got one, so you got one body and then there's one individual, that's you. And then you're making all those decisions and all the rest of it. That's a standard idea. But there are alternate ideas that actually within you are multiple consciousnesses that have multiple agendas.
Jung talks about this.
Jung talks about it a lot. I'm leaning heavily on you. I'm giving you like a Super Reader's Digest version, so that you have actually multiple consciousnesses with their own volition, meaning they have their own agendas that are not the same as the other ones. But there's one that's an executive consciousness that kind of is responsible to manage the other ones, the subordinate ones. Okay, so you've got one executive consciousness that I'm calling you, but within you there are multiple consciousnesses that want to do things.
You see this exemplified like in dreams, your subconscious that speaks to you in your dreams, where you might not want to deal with something, but when you fall asleep, your subconscious speaks. Also, when people say, you know, I was thinking about this, or I had a conversation with myself, like, well, what do you mean? Like, or when you have that discussion in your mind where it's like a two-sided discussion, it's like, how is this happening? That would be another example of it.
Yeah, and even the idea of the subconscious,
right,
People say that, you know, you have dreams, and the dreams are your subconscious trying to communicate to you about something, but that you know, while you're awake, you know, you push out of it. And it's like, think through what's being said. It's like, so there's a part of my mind that's like, I need to communicate something to this dude, but there's too much noise, so I'm going to wait till he's asleep and there's nothing he can do about it, and then I'll have my opportunity to score. So you're saying that there's a consciousness within you that has volition and has planning and has foresight and uses strategy to communicate a message.
Yep.
So,
and it can be like literally the exact opposite of how you personally feel. Like, I know people that have had, you know, they've been assaulted in like in regular life, and they don't want to think about it. They want to escape completely from the memory of it. And they said it was horrible because when they would fall asleep, they were forced to deal with it in their dreams, which is not what they wanted to do at all.
Correct.
They would keep themselves awake so they didn't have to be in that situation.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, who's at the control panel when that's happening?
Right. And that again, that's the reason that we hold people responsible. What we're saying is, you're the executive consciousness, so you had the most influence over what this body does, so we're going to hold you accountable. That does not mean that that you're in control of all of them all the time. You're responsible for the decisions you make and which one you listen to. That's where we hold you responsible. So if I look at this song, a lot of people are going to interpret this as metaphorical of, you know, he's got one mind that does this, but then the other half of him is that he's torn. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is to say that the bad, dark version, his shadow, whoever's talking to him, is a real being that can be negotiated with. That's the active imagination thing. He talks about negotiating with those other consciousnesses and coming to some sort of detente and moving on with life. It's incredible.
Right.
I would recommend that book. I would recommend that book to anyone. Go ahead.
I mean, there's also a third option. I mean, he seems to take it to a very spiritual place.
Yeah.
He says, it's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep. I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. And then in the, you know, as he progresses, he says what the name of the...
He says Mephistopheles and Lucifer and all that.
From the beginning of time.
Just Command
and
F
all
it.
that stuff. Oh, yeah.
Just type Lucifer. There it is right there. There you go. Beheading all kins, I am sin with no rhyme or reason.
The dawn of creation, I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason. Beheading all kings, I am sin with no rhyme or reason. Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies.
Mephistopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender when standing in front of my solar eclipse. So that right there, later, Tony.
Eternal, immortal.
Yeah.
I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos.
Catalyze chaos.
Yeah, and causes division.
Yeah, multiple personality disorder is very, very interesting. There are some people that believe that all of reality is a consequence of God's multiple personality disorder. Like, it's real. I'm not going to get into it right now, but it really, really, really is that. Doesn't Rem mean Adam and Eve when he says, I'm the snake in Eden? I don't think so, because he said that he was eternal before he said he was a snake in Eden.
What is this?
Where are those lyrics?
Lucifer, right here. No, right there.
Yeah, so he calls him, he says, I am temptation. He says, I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason. So that's obviously talking about the devil character that you see in the book of Genesis, which I'm not certain that the person was actually the devil, but that's a different discussion. So he's got these competing, and then on the other side you have what people call spiritual forces, or other people would call them, you know, it's a big thing right now in ufology to talk about extra dimensionals. So one theory is that these UFOs or whatever are actual beings from other planets who have mastered, you know, non-propulsion technology, anti-gravity in such a way as to be able to travel light years and whatever. So that's one theory, which is a common understanding of what these UAPs are. The other theory, which I'm more inclined to believe about that, is actually that we're dealing with interdimensional crafts and beings, and not interstellar beings. So they're operating in a completely different dimension. So now you've got Jacques Vallée. Jacques Vallée is probably the most respected individual in ufology. The government consults with him. Jacques Vallée takes the interdimensional perspective. He doesn't take the interstellar. He's saying these beings are not coming from fucking Alpha Centauri down to here. They're actually coming from another dimension, and that's why they violate all the laws of physics and things like that, because they're operating in a different dimension. Well, so that means that I have a secular category for beings who are intelligent, who are not part of this dimension.
Right.
Who can then interface with us. Okay, how is that different from spiritual people talking about the spiritual worlds or demons or whatever?
Right, yeah.
Right? So these are simplistic terminologies that we're using to talk about extra-dimensional realities from the norm of what we have here. And so when he says, I'm Mistopheles, I'm this, I'm that, a naturalistic way of looking at all of this is to say this guy has a broken brain and it's in shards, and, he's just saying all types of nonsense. Another way to look at it is to say this guy, for whatever reason, is more sensitive to that dimension and his own internal dialogue. He's more sensitive to that than other people, and because of that, it's driving him crazy. Right? So I understand, he probably means the devil stuff and everything metaphorically. Go back to that last thing when he says, because he said something really interesting at the end.
His spoken word?
Yeah, he says about the dance and God and all that. Can you just command?
Right there. It's the eternal dance. Right here. And I learned to relax and I learned to soften. The more I curse my clumsy footsteps.
Yeah, okay.
The battle.
It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older, and I learned to relax, and I learned to soften. And that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, and from gods.
He's talking about the swaying from dark to light, that we just keep going back and forth,
right.
And we don't settle on one.
So he's saying, he's learned to accept all of it. All the good stuff, all the bad stuff. It's part of the dance, and it's what makes us, and what makes life is the ebbs and the flows, and to not always, you don't have to resist or go into battle every time like a dark period comes in. You can just recognize it as a dark period and understand that it's going to last for a time, just like a dance move, but then the music's going to change and you're going to go over here, and it's going to, and so once you let go of that and go with the flow, then yeah, you're going to be a lot less anxious if you can adopt that kind of a philosophy. It doesn't solve everything. He's still in treatment. It doesn't solve everything, but it does give you a fighting chance at being able to deal with the things in the world that shouldn't be. There's a lot of things going on that should not be the way that they are. And so it's a tough balance, because it's like, on the one hand, you can get really quietist about it and say, yep, everything is just it is, and I'm a log, and I'm just gonna float along in the ocean. Like, if you hold that worldview to its extreme, then we never get any social progress, right?
Right.
But if everything is a battle, we also never get social progress, because everybody's dead. Which is what's happening in our country right now, is we're all at war with each other, and so none of us can progress. Every group feels like their group is going backwards. It's very fascinating. You listen to left-wing radio, they all feel they're going backwards. You listen to right-wing radio, they all feel they're going backwards, like nothing is happening. It's because we're always at war with one another.
Yeah.
And so until your enemy is completely vanquished, you're going to say that you're not winning. So, understanding how pendulums swing, that's a really insightful understanding of what he was talking about. He says, I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare. I disagree with that. But there were victims and there were students. Okay. It wasn't David versus Goliath, it was a pendulum eternally swaying from dark to the light. Yeah, if you can understand that rhythm in life as a principle, it can help you not panic. You can't stay there.
Yeah.
Because if you stay there, then you're not going to do anything to change the outside world. But what you can do is you can engage the outside world with a certain confidence, and you're not doing it from a state of panic, which is what's happening a lot in our country right now. Everybody's panicked about everything because the two main emotions that are floating around in this country right now are hate and fear.
Yep.
And when you get hate and fear, those are the only thing more powerful than that is love. And I know that sounds corny, but I'm telling you, our government is monetizing and mechanizing fear.
100%.
To get us all right. So like an understanding that maybe there's something deeper happening psychologically or spiritually, however you want to consume that idea. Something is happening to our country and to the Western world as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been talking about dark intelligences since we started this channel. But now, because of all the UAP, go look at it yourself. Jacques Vallée, go. I mean, the United States government has come out and said, we've got these craft and they're not from here and whatever. Okay, so even the U.S. government at the highest levels are acknowledging that there are beings that are intelligent that somehow can violate the laws of physics. Okay, so if I have a category for that, then why is it so crazy to say that maybe Ren and the rest of us are dealing with malevolent, non-physical intelligences? Is that possible? When you look at the way that everything is, I think it's possible to say that there are deeper things happening other than just a regular sociological, whatever that people would attribute things to. I think you hamstring yourself if you don't have that as a category. So, like, for example, a lot of Christians stereotypically don't delve into science a lot. And so they're hamstrung. Christians are hamstrung when we're having discussions relative to science because that's not a discipline that they committed themselves to.
Yeah, I think sometimes that they get like I just was watching this discussion because there was this Christian that was like, hey, where does the Bible talk about dinosaurs? Doesn't, like legs like a cedar, wouldn't that, or Leviathan, wouldn't those things kind of categorize as dinosaurs or something? And like, there was like all this like stress about it and stuff. It was like, well, what does it matter? Like, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. Like, but yeah, I agree. I think that sometimes not knowing, I guess maybe that was almost the opposite point, but.
Well, modern secularists, I mean, look, they have no mechanism for dealing with interdimensional beings who are malevolent. They don't have the first thing. They don't. A lot of unbelief is just rooted in fear, and that's it. The fascinating thing is like people are like, oh, the volcanoes were erupting and ancient people didn't know, so they made a god out of it and blah blah blah. I'm like, the gods that we've all invented are much scarier than a volcano. So if we came up with the gods to help us deal with our fear of the volcano, that's like saying you have a stubbed toe, I'm going to break your ankle so that you're no longer worried about the stubbed toe. Right, it's like, if you want that simplistic sort of answer, go for it. It doesn't explain why they made their gods scarier than the volcano, but go ahead. If you have this postmodernist, arrogant idea that all you see is all there is, and you're not going to believe something unless a group of scientists or group of people in authority tell you what to believe. So what happens is they can't explain any of this shit. They can't even explain consciousness from their worldview, for God's sake. So they almost have to be invincibly ignorant of those realities because they don't have any mechanisms to identify them, to talk about them. Like, how does this work? None of that. Because they're stuck in this worldview that's impossible to defend. Matter is all there is. Matter is all there is. Ridiculous. That's a dumb. That's got to be one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard in my life. That matters all there is. It's got to be in the top 5 of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. I
agree.
And I've heard a lot of dumb shit in my life. But that one, I don't know. So yeah, like this is a really, really fascinating song because it goes into like multiple personalities, executive consciousness, like all these other things that are really fascinating. One of the things that I got out of that book about active imagination is that these things could be negotiated with. And I thought that was so fascinating. I don't know if I'm going to talk about like my one experience in active imagination. definitely fast. It was a crazy experience, but I shared it with you, but I don't think I would share that with anybody else. I mean, that was pretty crazy situation.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find the author of that book.
Well, while you look for that, I'll kind of. Is it
Yeah,
right
go ahead.
there? Yeah, so I've seen the spoken outro.
I'm sorry, it's Inner Work by Robert A. Johnson. If you're interested in active imaginations and the ontology of people that you've made up in your head, that's a very, very good book. Go ahead.
There you go. So I've seen the outro before, and like immediately when I heard I heard the outro, I was like, oh shit. When he said like him being 17-year-olds and shouting to an empty room and a blank canvas that I would defeat the forces of evil, and for the next 10 years of my life I suffer the consequences. And autoimmunity illness, the psychosis, and then obviously we find out that that's Lyme disease, but I still don't think it takes away from, now I don't know Ren. I don't even know like literally anything about his life except for what we're seeing here and what's written in this song. So I could be completely off in left field. But when I heard this part, I was like, oh shit. Because it reminded me of something that I had seen in the book of Acts. 7 sons of Sceva. It said, now there were some Jewish exorcists who tried to invoke the name of the Lord Jesus over those with evil spirits. They would say, I bind you by Jesus, whom Paul proclaims. 7 sons of Sceva, a Jewish priest, were doing this. Eventually, one of the evil spirits answered them, Jesus I know, and I know about Paul, but who are you? And the man with the evil spirit jumped on them and overpowered them all. The attack was so violent that they ran out of the house naked and wounded. This became known to all the Jews and Greeks living in Ephesus, and fear came over all of them. So the name of the Lord Jesus was held in high honor. Many who had believed now came forward, confessing and disclosing their deeds. And a number of those who had practiced magic arts brought their books and burned them in front of everyone. The word of the Lord powerfully continued to spread and prevail. So it reminded me of this story because these people were not like, they were trying to control the forces of evil by using their own strength. They weren't coming because they knew that Jesus had power over those evil spirits, because that's the thing, like just me and Vin on the regular, like what are we going to do about some other dimensional evil whatevers? But if, Jesus, who died and rose again, has power over all of that. And so that's what you're doing, is you're basically saying, like, it's basically like you're a kid and you go to the park and you don't have any strength to fight off any of the bad guys, but you got a big brother back at home, and you're basically saying, yo, that's my big brother. So, right. This is how this is going to go down, because Jesus said before he left, look, I'm giving you power over what you say here on earth is going to happen in the spiritual realm. So he kind of gave his people like power that he had. But these people weren't connected to Jesus and they weren't connected to Paul, but they were over in there trying to like control around these evil spirits. And that's a really fatal mistake, because none of us are more powerful than the evil that exists. We're only more powerful when, like I said, we've tapped into the spiritual power of the one that's greater than us, namely Jesus Christ. So when the homie said that, I was like, oh shit. And then he followed it up with saying like stuff got really bad for him. And I can't say what was going on inside of him, but it sounded like that I would defeat the forces of evil, and then shit broke down. And I think that there's nothing happens without there being a purpose or a reason behind it. And I would say, like, if that's what happened, then that's God's mercy, because if we believed that we had power over evil to that degree, and we didn't need the higher powers of Jesus himself, then we could find ourselves in a place that actually is, I guess not where you would want to be. I don't know how to put that last piece there. But so that kind of stuck out to me, and especially because, he was talking about like, the name of the one that was like going after him. At the same time, I do think that if you grow up in a religious environment, then something can be categorized as something that it's not. So for instance, you could have like Lyme disease and you need special treatment for that, but instead like it's being looked at as like there's some demon that's speaking to you, and you know what I'm saying, like sometimes people need actual like just like medicine, because like Vin was saying at the beginning, like people are we're made up of a body, soul, and a spirit. So your body is like what's physical here. Your soul is the part of you that's like your mind, your will, your emotions. It's what decides what kind of ice cream you want. It's kind of your personality. And then, you know, you have your spirit, which connects you to the supernatural, whether it's to God, to Jesus, or it connects you to some demonic. It's kind of like the hair that raises on the back of your neck when you go into some creepy area or whatever, like that sort of thing. So we're made up of all that stuff. So maybe somebody has something going on with their body, like they have like chemicals that are imbalanced and they need medication that's going to straighten that out. So it's not a spiritual issue, but sometimes people can make it like, oh, like there's some demonic thing going on, when it's really just like you need some medicine. Simultaneously, sometimes people can try to medicate someone and think that there's a body issue, like let's medicate this person, when there's actually a deep spiritual issue that's going on, and that issue is going to be unresolved by the medication. It's only going to like it could make things worse, or it could just kind of like deaden things for a little bit, but then it comes back with like a vengeance. You know, it can be a kind of a scary thing, you know, to be misdiagnosed. So I do think that it's important, though, for each person to know what they're made up of, that you are body, soul, spirit. Because if you see a doctor, they're really looking just for your body. And if you see a pastor, he's looking really for just your spirit. You know, and I don't know, your souls, your friends and your mom, you know, that's like your soul people. But I think you got to kind of bring all that together and understand that you're made up of all those things to be able to make sure you're getting the right diagnosis. Because there are sometimes maybe you need the pastor, you know,
right?
Sometimes you need your friends and sometimes you need the doctor. So,
or maybe we need all of it. We need
medicine. We need all of
theology,
it together.
We need philosophy.
Absolutely.
We need all of it together. But each of these disciplines believes that their discipline alone
is the only
one.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
I'm sorry, it doesn't.
And I was thinking about when one of my kids they fell outside and they were crying, and I was like thinking, oh my gosh, like this is, you know, you always see this moment depicted where mom picks them up and dusts off their boo-boo, kisses them, hugs them. And I'm like, that's a holistic moment because, and well, for us, I say a little prayer that God's going to heal it because I know God is going to. So they get to see a prayer within the next 2 days. God has that prayer answered for them. And it's amazing. Like they're like blown away when they see that, like God healed it. Look, mom, it's crazy. So it's a really holistic moment. And I think that those moments are like, people look at that, they're like, oh, that's so sweet. You know what I mean? Like that moment, but it is. You took care of their body, you hugged and kissed them, and that kind of takes care of their soul. And then you say a prayer for their healing.
Dwayne's wife jumped on Yoko Ono.
Hello.
What do you give the song?
Oh my gosh. I love this one. I love what he did with it. I love that I just felt like he was being very honest with it. This one's an 11. I would listen to this one again. It's 11 for me.
Solid 9. Shout out to the homie. He
did
a really good song. I hope he's better.
Yeah. Get with Jesus. That's what I would say. Read the book of John and kind of just sit in the character and get to know him. That's what I would suggest.
Modern psychology based itself on a multi-dimensional mode. Just got 3 years of school. There's just a lot of money in. That's really interesting. Isaac, send me an email, vinetsoy@gmail.com, and tell me a little bit more of what you need on what you meant by the multi-dimensional thing. That's really, really interesting.
Finn is excited.
vinetsoy@gmail.com.
You just gave him a gift. It's something new he hasn't heard about. He's like, oh! All right,
dear listener, we are out of here.
That is that for tonight.
Stay tuned. We've got an amazing commercial coming up from y'all.
We do.
You're
Be on the lookout.
You're going to want to see it. Some major changes. It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry, yup, John. What? What am I upping John about?
Do you guys have any currently living war veterans?
In our village?
Really good job